In today's video, I'm going to be sharing how my podcast has done within the last 10 months of being published. And we're going to go through the podcast analytics channel and step by step on what you can find and how podcast analytics can be really useful in the Spotify platform. So stick around to the end of the video. You don't want to miss this. Hi there, my name is Eric. I'm the host of the Violin podcast. Thank you so much for coming across this channel. If you haven't done so already, please make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notifications. That way you get notified for when new videos come out. I do tutorials such as this one, what I'm about to do today with the Spotify analytics. And I also do various violin how-to tutorials. So if you're interested in learning the violin, make sure you subscribe. So in today's video, I'm going to be showing you my Spotify podcast analytics for the Violin podcast. And this is what the results came out to be after doing episodes bi-weekly with guests. I did about 20 episodes with 19 guests, and then I'm revamping some of the episodes for the spring. So here we go. So what you see here is the Spotify for podcast dashboard, and you could log in, you can sign up, and you could also submit your podcast to Spotify. So we're gonna go ahead and click on your dashboard, and it gives you a bunch of different features here. Total listens, total amount of streams, approximate listeners, and some of your top episodes on the top right. And in addition to the Violin podcast, I also do the Everyday Musician podcast. That's kind of been on hiatus for a little while. I got to get that back up and running. But anyways, you have a bunch of resources for you to promote your podcast, whether you're just starting out or if you're like not tech savvy, then I hope this video is helpful. You have a bunch of different promo cards that you can share. Let's check that out here. It's loading. It'll tend to do that. Great. So what's really cool about these promo cards is that you can pretty much use these promo cards as part of your social media marketing strategy. So let's find the show Violin podcast. I'm going to search for that right over here, and it automatically goes up to the show, and I can customize it to my liking, and it has this little Spotify badge here. So let's go to customize. I can choose a variety of different backgrounds that I want, but and you could also then share this exact show on your social media platforms, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whatever the case may be. But let's actually go back. Let's cancel this out, and let's go over to the nitty-gritty, which is the actual analytics of the podcast. So you'll see that I have this catalog here, and again, the Everyday Musician podcast, I haven't been really working so hard on that, but I've been really focusing on the Violin podcast and putting all my attention into that. And you have various options as to what the analytics you want to see. So let's go to all time. You can see here that I have about almost 1,900 starts, 846 streams, approximately over 1,000 listeners for the Violin podcast, which, it's really good having started just about 10 months ago. I'm going to click on this Violin podcast. And once you click on the podcast, you have various features and kind of analytical data that you want. And right over here, again, with the streams and the start and the listeners and whatnot, it also shows you how many followers you have. This is why it's so important to be able to ask your listeners to subscribe to the podcast or to any podcast. And it's just you get that audience and you get that listenership throughout a period of time. And to be honest, I'm really pleased with just this amount of followers, just 178 over here. And I started about 10 months ago. My first episode was with Galia Kostner, which is a fun episode. I encourage you to check it out. I'll leave a link in the description. Sorry for the tongue twister there. And let's scroll down over here, and you have again a bunch of episodes that I released and the amount of plays within the last 7 days, but I'm not really interested in that. I want to show you the actual audience. And for those of you who are listening, I want to thank you who actually subscribe to the Violin podcast, because without your support, this podcast wouldn't exist. So thank you so much. And Let's go to the followers. Over here you have the followers, and sometimes there's like a small dip here between 178 and 177, and various other analytical things and data that you want, like female, male, even the age group, which is really important. I mean, it's really important to understand what your demographic is. This is within the last 7 days. Let's go ahead and see, just for fun, all time. So you can see here that the data kind of changes a little bit, that the starts and the streams kind of go bonkers a little bit, but there's a slight upward trajectory right over here, as you can see, going upward in the upward trend since March of 2020, which is really nice to see. And also the listeners, there's a slight uptick between like August and what is that, about January? Yeah, January 23rd. So you can see all this data that's in front of you, and it gives you educated decisions on what you want to do with your podcast, which is super duper helpful when it comes to podcasting and the Spotify analytics features. Gives you an opportunity to kind of analyze what you need to do next. And I'm a visual person, so I like looking at these graphs. I like looking at these numbers, and it was so encouraging. I had this one tiny little follower, March 13th, whoever that first follower was, you're the best. I really love you. And going upward, and it just kept going up and up and up and up. And hopefully the podcast will continue to grow in 2021. I have some exciting guests coming on. And with the gender, it's pretty even. I'd say, close to 50-50. You can see that 50% female, 46% male, and 3 not specified. Less than 1% non-binary. But actually what was really shocking to me is that this statistic over here is that a lot of you listeners on the Violin podcast are between the ages of 18 and 22. So a lot of young listeners, probably conservatory students who are into podcasting or wanting to learn more about their music careers. This is really, really awesome. I'm also encouraged to see that between the ages of 23 and 34, that is actually kind of my target audience for people, but it's also really nice to know that there is someone who is on 150 years old, 60 to 150. I don't know if there's anyone who's alive who's 150, so that's kind of a fun little statistic. And it also shows me where the podcast is streamed, in what countries. So right now the primary listenership is in the US, as you can see, 333 streams total, and the rest are outside the country. So the next after the US is the UK, then Germany, Australia, Canada. You have all these really great resources. So if you want to ever advertise your podcast outside of your home country, that's a really, really cool thing to do. You can set up a trailer for your podcast. I really haven't done that yet, and a bunch of other features that you can use. And yeah, there you have it. I think I hope this is a really useful video for anybody who's looking to start a podcast. It's really simple. The data that you get from your podcast analytics throughout a long period of time, it's really, really cool. And this is what happens to a podcast after 10 months for anyone who is interested in starting one. It's all about consistency, making sure you have fun guests, good conversations, quality content, and that's what will hopefully drive this podcast and your podcast. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you found value in this video. If you like the content, if you like this video, please make sure to hit the like button. And if you like me as a person, hopefully you do, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell notifications. That way you get notified for when new videos come out. Thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next video.